there's a lot of wonderful things about American culture. And those of you who follow my main channel know that I praise Americans for all those things. But unfortunately, they also have problems. And if you're not from the Anglosphere, you're looking at this with complete disbelief. Because America has the left wing with their hate speech laws and the right wing with their obscenity laws. But what they both have in common is the complete inability of distinguishing fact from fiction. A child can do this at the age of 2, but for some fucking reason, Americans, the most extremist of them from the political spectrum, just do not have the mental capacity of telling fact from fiction. And the problem is, like, there's no actual argument for one of these retards that comes at you with like, why do you play GTA? Why do you enjoy GTA? Like, why do you want to play as a criminal and run over hookers? What is wrong with you? Are you a psychopath? Are you about to snap? Like what can you tell to that person? Because that's how I grew up, by the way. Like, literally, the arguments of my channel. It's like, why do you play violent video games? Like, are you sadistic? Do you get off on it? Right? So what exactly do you answer to that person? Now, obviously, studies are done, and it turns out that there's no correlation between people playing violent video games and the real world. It turns out that they're not a Rorschach test. But again, like the extremists, the moral busybodies, love pretending that they are. They love pretending that if you kill Rex in Mass Effect, you're a son of a bitch. Like, it says a lot about you. Like, if you play racist video games, you must be a racist. If you watch South Park, you're a racist. It's fucking insane, and it just doesn't go away. Like, I looked at the history of the United States. Like, there were people unhinged about cartoons like Tom and Jerry. Like, they thought that because people like those cartoons, which have violence in them, there's going to be violence. I wouldn't be surprised if in the American past, there were people freaking out about fairy tales. I'm not talking about the Disney fairy tales. I'm talking about the ones like Sleeping Beauty. Like the actual old fairy tales where the way she wakes up is that after the king impregnates her, yeah, like she's asleep and the king impregnates her, it's the pain of the child labor that wakes her up. Like, that was a story that they would tell kids, you know, and I'm pretty sure, like, someone probably freaked out about that as well. So, what am I going with this? Well, it turns out that this post, which got 1.8 million views, was complaining about racismus in Genshin Impact. I'm not making it up. I wish I was. I wish I would. But like, what can you tell to these people? What are the arguments that you can possibly make in order for them to shut the fuck up and understand that it's fiction and it doesn't actually affect the real world? But they will say it does, and how can you prove it doesn't? But luckily, the developers are fucking based. I hate giving props to the Chinese, but like, look, I'm sorry. They have a little bit more IQ than the average leftist when it comes to that, even though the Chinese are communists as well. But they basically said, like, thank you for your feedback. Please be kindly reminded that Genshin Impact is a work of fiction. And it is not related to actual people, events, groups, or organizations. Thank you for understanding. But the problem is that they don't understand. I'm not giving the name of this person. I don't want them to have publicity. But what kind of response is this? The based response. The one that most of the world agrees with? Like, you should not have the ability to take away the human right of a creator to create whatever type of story they wish. Like, you're basically saying, you want to send Terminators back in time to prevent someone from putting the pencil to the paper and write the racismus. Like, you genuinely think that people from China are making video games that are social political commentaries about the race relations in the United States, and you from the United States want to stop the people from China from doing that. You're unwell. I have to say, like, it's the truth. You're unwell. I don't know what else to say, right? This is why the internet is laughing at this person, and they had to immediately disable the replies, right? Like, they had to bar the windows and bolt the doors because they're ashamed. Embarrassing unprofessional behavior. Yeah, perfect. It's interesting, right? Like, when you have DC Comics or Disney or any of the American companies, like, literally giving middle fingers to their fans, literally telling their fans to go shop somewhere else, you don't see these people going, oh, that's unprofessional behavior. But when you have a company saying, look, if you don't like the game, tough, but it's fiction, right? So what exactly is the butt hurt? Like, where is the ass hurt coming from? Well, I don't play Genshin Impact. My wife actually does. Well, she did. She doesn't play it either anymore. But from my understanding, they're casting some different characters, and they're not the actual color, right? Like, they're not dark enough. And we live in a world where these leftists, they walk past Disney, which literally cannot release anything unless they race swap something. Like, it is a requirement by now. Like, when is the last Disney movie that released without race swapping one character? Can you remember which one was it? Because I don't fucking know. Netflix, they're walking past that as well. Again, like, the race swapping is the spice melange now. Like, no movie can be produced. The spice must flow. Like, without the spice, you do not have American TV shows anymore, right? So, like, Netflix, race swaps, gender swaps all the fucking time. But the moment that's pushed in reverse in China, of all places, that's when these people activate. And they're like, racist, racist. They have a petition. Yeah, they have a petition. It's 9,000 people. Impressive. I would sign it as well, just for the lulz. I mean, why the fuck not at this point? These are the same people that harassed a girl during her prom, if you guys remember, right? For wearing a dress. Yeah. Who trains these people? Like, the real guilty people are those university professors that teach these people how to be miserable. Like, how can you enjoy life if you can't sleep at night knowing that somewhere out there in China, someone is making a video game that people like, and this bothers you? Like, this bothers you so much. Like, you gotta go on the internet, and, like, let's say you manage to succeed. Like, let's say, like they take the darkest shade of brown and they use it on the character. Would that give you a heart? Like, would that make you feel like you accomplished something? Like, is that, like, what you're going to tell your children? Like, let me tell you about 2024, the year that I have changed the color of Genshin Impact characters. Because, like, at the end of the day, they're not going to enjoy the game more or less. It's just like a color swap. You can fucking mod it if you want. I'm pretty sure, like, the technology would exist for it. But it's not about that, right? Like, it's just, like, about putting dominion over others. Like, telling other people what to do. This is literally what it is about. It's like having their little power on the corner of the internet so that they can go on their little power trip. And people notice that, and they're not happy. They're blocking comments. Because the strategy was nerfed. It used to work, and it definitely doesn't work in China because they don't have to show diversity metrics and ESG numbers and shit. So that's why Genshin Impact genuinely doesn't give a fuck. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to stop, is it? Like, it's never going to stop. Still, the thumbnail that I have for this video is actually legit. It's from the game. The creators probably heard so much shit about it that they're constantly making fun of it, and it's like, it's fiction. It's fiction, fiction. But since this happened since Tom and Jerry, and it has happened with GTA, and it's happening now with video games, and Anita Sarkeesian did it, I guess it will keep happening, right? Like, there's not going to be a time where they're going to behave like normal people, which are Eastern Europeans. Like, in Eastern Europe, we just don't give a fuck. If it's fiction, it's fiction. Again, I get why it's happening, right? Because, like, if someone comes up to you and goes, like, why are you playing Mortal Kombat? Like, in Mortal Kombat, you have Jax that can perform a fatality on his daughter, right? Like, he can rip her head off, and that is a video game. And if someone asks, like, why do you play something so sadistic? What, right? Like, what argument can you have? Because it is psychotic when you think about it, right? And the only argument you can have is that it's fiction. And if they don't accept that argument, what is the next step? Like, what exactly can you do, right? Like, if they're genuinely disturbed by the imagery that they're seeing in the video game, and they're basically telling you that they think you're unwell for playing such a game, how can you convince them that it actually is not the case, right? So that is why it's effective. And I'm pretty sure, like, most of these people, they do play their own version of games. They have their own entertainment, which is problematic, but they're just afraid and ashamed of talking about it. Because it's all about the virtue. It's all about connecting the internet clicks. Still, props for the people from Genshin Impact. I never thought that I would praise China, but here we go. Let me know what you think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.